We did it. It's another Monday, guys. Hello. Thank you so much for tuning into Just Jax and Guest. Guys, I got two hot ones tonight. I tell you that every week, I think, because we really do. So many amazing people have been willing to join the stage, get themselves out there, let people know a little bit about who they are as humans, a little bit about their businesses or their professions, or maybe their job search, maybe a book they have coming out, something that's important to them. And so I want to thank everybody that has taken the time to watch any of the episodes we've had, whether you're joining us live now for the very first time, whether you've watched almost all of the episodes, or whether you're catching us on replay. You are important. Tonight, we're streaming on so many different opportunities to catch us. We are doing my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my YouTube. We are doing Chris's LinkedIn. We are doing Dr. Q's LinkedIn and her YouTube as well. So join us, say some great things about these awesome humans you're going to see. Send them some questions. We want to see who's here tonight. We want to know what kind of questions you have for them, what you're looking forward to from finding out from a farmer who's so much more than a farmer, and an amazing therapist that's like this powerhouse lady that if you haven't heard her yet, you're going to be like, where has she been hiding? She hasn't been hiding. You just didn't find her yet. So super excited to call both of these friends now. And I would not have had either of these connections without the amazing LinkedIn platform. So thankful to have them here. We've already got a couple great people listening. We've got Ave, who always joins us from the world of YouTube. So thank you for being here. And we've got Noni. Noni is a super great friend of mine that we have so many exciting things to share coming up with everybody. So glad they're here today. Of course, Dr. Q and Chris are in the house, and we're going to see some more people joining. But guys, sometimes I don't have time to invite people. It's not because I don't want them to hear about the guests, but it's just busy. Guys, I drove from Canada today, 7 hours straight, all by myself. I didn't have time to do as much of the hype as I wanted. So if you could do me a solid and invite some people, share this by reposting it on whichever social media platform you're watching, or send the link to somebody that thinks they could maybe learn something tonight, or maybe they want to be featured on the show sometime. Guys, we're going to be talking about some intense topics. So today is the end of June. We are facing the end of what's called Pride Month. We are facing the end of what's called Mental Health Month for men. And if you know me even a little bit, just because there's a month, I'm going to hype it, but I'm not going to stop thinking about those topics the rest of the year. Whether it's Black History Month, whether it's Women Awareness Month, we deserve to hype all the humans that don't get a lot of hype going on. We're going to talk about some tough topics, and tonight is not even going to be all roses and butterflies, because guys, we're talking about therapy. We're talking about suicide prevention and awareness. We're talking about some of the struggles that we have as humans. So I'm so thankful to be able to have some guests here tonight that are going to share some amazing things with you. But a couple things I want to also share is, if you did not have a chance to watch last week, we featured my daughter and her bestie, who are both my daughter's bestie, Kendra. She is the founder and the CEO of Operation Solo, and my daughter is the board president. So near and dear to my heart. I mean, they are out there helping animals in our town that living on chains, or they're living outside 24 hours a day in the heat, in the cold, and they're trying to educate and help those families. Or if a family doesn't have enough money to buy food for their animals, they're trying to make sure that those animals can stay with their families and don't end up in shelters. And so if you have any interest in learning more about them, go back and check on my LinkedIn page. You can check it on the YouTube page. Learn about them. They are totally grassroots. They don't get any grants. They all work full-time and do this out of the kindness of their heart. If you have somebody that you think should be highlighted on Just Jax and Guest, or if you want to be highlighted, message me. You don't have to run a business or do something that's saving animals. You are important just how you are, and you deserve to be hyped. Unless you want to come on here and be cranky to people. We don't do cranky. We don't do disrespect. Now, I do want to share a little bit of what I did in Canada and why I drove 7 hours one way on Saturday and one way again today. It was only a 2-night trip. So if you followed any of my travel work, Tripping with Jax, I have been a solo female traveler for quite a few years now. I recently got to all 50 states, and I planned this year to really get a bunch of international places in. So I did not get to that goal, and I don't think I'm going to this year, but I have had the opportunity to go on 2 cruises now all by myself. And I met a spectacular fellow female solo traveler on my first cruise. We stayed in touch. We ended up going on another cruise together. It was totally at the last minute. She decided to book a ticket after I was already scheduled. We keep in touch all the time now. She's amazing, and she had tickets to a wonderfully amazing, very popular band that I had never heard of. Never even heard of them. It's called K-pop music, and the band is called Stray Kids. Never on my radar until I met Tara. And she had tickets, and unfortunately, her daughter couldn't go with her. So, step in friend that doesn't mind driving 7 hours to go hang out with somebody and do something special. We actually went to the Stray Kids concert in Toronto last night. 50,000 plus people that were there. It was the very first time they had anything in this venue. It was a brand new constructed stadium. It was amazing. Now, the reason I want to highlight this is not just to let you know what I did, but one of the cool things about K-pop music, especially Stray Kids that I'm aware of, is the vibe. The people that support this music almost become family. They're there to hype other people. They're there to say, how can we support each other? How can we make sure that that I have that same interest as you? Let's be together. Let's hype each other. And I wasn't expecting that. The concerts I've been to in the past have been so not great. And it's been something that I just hadn't had that vibe, especially with 50,000 people there. So it was pretty wild, actually. And I got to experience something completely out of my comfort zone. It was a total cultural awareness. There were people of all ages and backgrounds and races and dresses. I mean, it was wild. It was so amazing. And so it was super great. And I see Jane made it and Gregory and Tara, and I have somebody that is trying on YouTube to talk not very nice. So can't deal with you right now. No, you are not getting the StreamYard link the way you're talking. So that's not going to happen. But thank you for those of you that are here. I appreciate it so greatly. I want to show you a cute little video clip that we got at the beginning of the show. They were like, hey, if you guys want to be on video, we could do that. Tara and I met through social media, just like this platform. That's how I met Chris and Dr. Q that will be on stage today. We have to sometimes open ourselves up to say that social media, people we meet through our phones or our laptops, are not necessarily scary people, but we do have to be careful. We have to take care of ourselves because not everybody has the same intentions as we do. But last night was pretty amazing. The final song, if you've never heard K-pop music or you've never heard Stray Kids, for sure, check it out. It's different. You have to take some time because some of the words are completely Korean. Some of it flips into English. Some goes back and forth. But there's messages in their song. And the very last song of the night, last night, I hope this isn't a spoiler for anybody else, because last night was the last night on their North American tour. And so it was called Star Loss. And some people think it's about like losing a love, like you broke up in a relationship. And Tara told me that she did a little more research on it, and it can be just losing a human. So tonight we might hit some sad topics on grief and loss, and you're going to maybe want to find some comfort after this show. So I do encourage you to check that song out. It's pretty amazing. And it's something that I would definitely like re-listen to. I think it's going to be something that I need to listen to over and over just so I can get used to it and I can understand a little bit more about why that vibe is so amazing and why people are really into that. So I'm going to show you a quick little video from last night. My bestie, she's my cruise bestie. She's now my official concert bestie. I'm going to show you just a little clip from us, and then I am going to get right into Chris. I'm so ready for him. So get your questions ready, guys. Okay, here we go. Did you see us? Could you see Tara and I? We were on the roundy thing and then we were doing a little video. Such a great vibe. And guys, this is not something I would have done. It's not in my comfort zone. It's not in my wheelhouse. It's just not something I would have just picked up the phone and bought tickets on my own. And so the fact that I was able to be gifted this experience and do something out of my comfort zone and then be surrounded by such great people and amazing energy, really cool. So I want to bring up Chris. He is somebody, like I said, that just met through here. He's got amazing stories. He's got so much to share. I can't wait to bring him up. Are you guys ready for him? Here he comes. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, Jax. It's a real honor and a privilege to be here.
Oh, I appreciate it so very much. Chris, pronounce your last name for us so I don't mess it up at all.
Pavelski. So the W is pronounced like a V.
Pavelski. Okay, my maiden name used to be with a V, so I always used to
Yeah.
say V as in Victor because they wanted to call me every other alphabet except a V. So I appreciate that explanation. So we're going to jump into some of the awesome, great stuff that you do. We're going to check and see if there's any kind of comments coming in. But before we do that, I want to highlight a couple things. First of all, I want to ask you a couple questions because it's always important to make sure that you actually get to say some of the things that you want to say to get people to know you as a human. And I've enjoyed this time we've had together, and I'm excited about your answers as well. So, the first question I always ask people is, Chris, tell me two things that you're proud of that you've accomplished or that's going on for you.
Wow. Two things. One is being a husband and father, two boys, and raising them. Uh, One has now left and has moved to Chicago, but others still here. The other thing is being able to continue to care for my family farm, and in particular now that includes caring for my mom. My dad developed stage four. He was diagnosed with stage four renal cancer in 2016. He passed away 6 months later. My mom had dementia, and it progressed a bit. Since stabilized, and I've been caring for her. Fortunately, we were able to put the farm in a trust, and I was able to get her on Medicaid, and she's in a 24/7 home care program. So I'm very proud about that. The fact that I promised my dad before he passed that I would care for my mom, and I've been able to do that, and she's been cared for, and she's at home and comfortable, and doing quite well considering her circumstances.
That is amazing. Oh, family and legacy, history, that's tough stuff. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what your lifestyle is, not a lot of people really think about this stuff that you have talked about as those successes and things they're proud of. So thank you for being there. And you have a lot going on in your own life. So when you divert to other people, it's like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. So thank you for sharing that. Now, because we're all human, no matter our age, no matter our titles behind our name, no matter where we live, no matter how much education we have, we're still growing as humans. So tell us,
Yeah.
Chris, something that you're still working on or something that you're growing.
Oh boy, I would say primarily I'm still trying to grow my patience. At times, in dealing with issues and such, I want things done a certain way, and I'm thinking in terms of like public policy issues, and I have to have patience, and that it takes time sometimes to accomplish something, and that's something I'm still working on.
Oh, man, I tell you, I don't know one human that is not working on patience. Well, they might not know they're working on it, but need to work on it. Me, I sometimes want to jump in when other people are talking. I want to go save the day for other people when I know it should be their thing. And sometimes I'm just like, can you speed it up? My mind is going 75 miles an hour right now, and you're at about maybe three.
I love your energy, by the way.
I
Awesome.
appreciate that. It can intimidate the heck out of some people. So I
No, it's
appreciate you saying that. And it's not like it's a competition either. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is there are
no.
people that are meant to be slow processors or slow energy people or low energy people. And there's other people that we have a lot of it. So back in the day, I have not always been told the best thing about my energy. So being able to put it live on media platforms that are going to literally have this out there for the rest of probably my life or beyond, it's kind of intimidating sometimes. So it's exciting that you acknowledged it. I appreciate that. Now,
It's
last
impressive.
question. next question before we get into letting you talk about whatever is on your mind is I would like you to share if you could travel anywhere right now, no matter the farming season, no matter the money, no matter anything else that you're obligated to, where would you go right now?
I was in Europe decades ago, but I'd love to go back. I never have been to the United Kingdom, so I'd love to spend some time in the United Kingdom, specifically, Great Britain and Scotland. It would be a lot of. It would be very. I loved history, and it would be a lot of fun to visit those areas.
Oh, I so agree, Chris. I am a big like historical architecture type of a person,
Nice.
historical churches, castles, cemeteries. It's exciting for me. So I definitely hope you get to travel there. And when you do, because instead of saying if, I'm going to say when you do, I think you for sure need to tell me all about it because I would love that.
I love
Um,
it.
we've got already Mandy saying that she's sending you some love. So she appreciates what you're doing for your mom as well. So very
Thanks,
cool.
Mandy.
Ave says that he really admires it. I told you people would be supporting you in the comments. Sometimes people are very into writing comments and sometimes they just listen so they don't ask you questions right away. But I want to put this picture up of you because I think this kind of sets the stage for you. You are not sitting behind an office desk all day answering LinkedIn responses and sending people DMs. You are doing the hot and the heavy, the work that gets food on a lot of our tables, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Try to.
Tell us a little bit about Chris. What do you want to share with us?
Well, I am a fourth generation farmer. I was started work on the farm actually when I was about 5 years old. When I was in after kindergarten. My first job was picking up onions that fell out of the crates as we harvested. I'm in. I should mention I am. Our farm is in Orange County, New York, in the historic Black Dirt region. So we have my area has the largest collection of muck soil in the United States that's under cultivation. So I grew up with a family farm. I was working on it basically almost full time when I wasn't in school. I started operating heavy equipment. I was 11 years old. I was driving trucks on the road, standard transmission trucks with no doors, hauling crops when I was 11 years old. And I did that full time, but I also did well in school. I eventually got my bachelor's and master's degrees in communication studies, broadcasting and film studies. I got my master's degree from the University of Iowa. And I had the goal of eventually either teaching or working in the industry. It didn't work out. I met my future wife at grad school, and we lived in Wisconsin, where she was from, for 3 years. Then we moved back here to the family farm in '93, and I farmed part time for about 3 seasons. And I also taught at the local community college. And then I started farming full time in '96, and then we were hit by a hailstorm that wiped us out. And that was kind of what led to me eventually getting into doing grassroots public policy activism. So I would work on issues both dealing with the press and with elected officials and administrations on a state, local, and federal level. Eventually, my wife and I were responsible for major changes to the federal crop insurance program for the onion policy. I testified before the United States Senate on the reauthorization of the Farm Bill in 2010. The first hearing the Senate held that year on the reauthorization of the Farm Bill. Gotten a lot of different things accomplished, including in the Inflation Reduction Act, the provision that was for the debt forgiveness provision for farmers. That was actually my original provision that I proposed back in 2019. So, gotten some accomplishments and done some speaking on it. And the most recent thing is, which I think you saw, was my wife and I were featured in a documentary short called Muckville, and it was about farmer suicide. And I really encourage people to check it out. You have to go on Hutsy's website, HUDSY. If you go on Google and type in Hutsy and then type in Muckville, the first entry will come up will be the entry for the film. It's free to register. They don't spam you with emails. Again, they're a site that promotes Hudson Valley Productions. It's a 19-minute short. It ran in film festivals all across the country, and it's very, very powerful. And the last film festival ran at was in Orange County, where I'm from, and it got a Best Director award. And the person who chose it was actor James Cromwell, who actually lives locally, and he chose the film, and he was very impressed with it. And his presentation regarding. He says, for a film to tell such a story with no narration, he said was so impressive, and he just found it very moving. And again, the director Jeff Mertz does an amazing job. And I encourage people to get a chance to see, if you get a chance to see it, to check it out.
Well, and I appreciate so much not only that you were willing to be in this documentary, but it is your part of your life story. It's part of the history of what you know near and dear to your heart. And sometimes people don't understand some of the work I do is, although I am a therapist by degree and all of that, I do a lot more with people that are incarcerated or victims of crime. So I've gotten away more from the clinical. However, suicide prevention and awareness is such a near and dear topic to me that I stay on a lot of local and statewide coalitions for suicide prevention. And so when you were talking about the farming and, one of the highest unfortunate rates of suicide right now is men, and trying to think about how men can express themselves and use their feelings that they were given. I mean, guys, you have tear ducts just like women. You are meant to express yourself. You're meant to go through all the happy, sad, scary emotions that every other human goes through. But unfortunately, in some professions, especially where they are generally a little bit more higher on the male dominant, or at least that historically male dominated profession, construction, farming, the rates of suicide are unfortunately just off the charts. And having you guys being willing to share this film and being able to be advocates for it, such a way to start breaking down the stigma, breaking down the discussions, and not enough people are willing to stand up and do this. I did watch this. I also shared it with one of my suicide prevention coalitions group, because so the state of Michigan has a couple cool things going on. And I know you're in New York, so I don't know what they do there, but our state actually really focuses on a program called agricultural mediation. So if you've never seen somebody from Michigan, we use our hand to describe parts of Michigan. Detroit is over here where everybody thinks I am when I say I'm from Michigan, but boom, I'm way on the other hand. I'm right up along Lake Michigan, and pretty much just north of my town, a little bit in my town, but mostly north of my town, almost all farmland. And so they do a lot of tree farms. They do a lot of different crops. And our state actually provides free mediation for farmers going through a conflict with the DEQ, maybe with employees. Maybe they're going through a divorce and they're trying to decide who gets what on the farm, or maybe they're changing from this generation to the next generation and they're kind of butting heads on how much money or what should be divided or which kids get to take over what part of the crops. And so our state actually does offer that opportunity. And I run one of the mediation centers in our state. And our farmers don't take advantage of this because I am not a farmer, so I'm trying to break into letting farmers know that, hey, it's not a bad thing to use a free service. It's not saying that you're helpless or you can't handle this. It's saying let's work on communication, because people communicate a lot different in 2025 than they did on farms in 2000 or in the 1980s or the 1960s. And being able to use words are so powerful. Will you share a little bit about what made you feel comfortable doing this movie and being able to talk about farmer suicide?
Two things come to mind. First off, when my wife and I worked on getting a $10 million earmark that was only for the farmers of my county that were hit by weather disasters back it was in the 2000 Farm Bill. It took us about 5 years of advocacy fighting for it. One thing we found was that, and it was a highly unusual thing to have happen. Our Congress at the time horse traded a lot of votes to get it and such. But one of the main reasons why we were able to do it was because of the fact that a lot of people have, weather disasters, farmers and things and the like, and you present, this many acres was wiped out. So it's an abstraction. But when you go in and you say, hey, my family, I have $200,000 in debt I can't pay because of this. I lost my crop and so on. When you personalize it, it carries so much more weight and impact. And so the other thing is, we were approached by the filmmaker who was working with an organization very similar to what you described in Michigan, but in New York we have what's called New York FarmNet, and it's run through Cornell, which is the land grant university in New York, through the Cornell Cooperative Extension System. FarmNet exists to provide many of those services that you detail to farmers in the state. including we used them 3 times actually. We used them first for creating the trust that we had that protected our assets when my father eventually died and my mom had to be put on Medicaid. The second thing was farm mediation. My father died. They had sent people in to help my brother and I work together because the whole dynamic changed when my father passed. And the third time is when we decided we weren't going to, my wife and I weren't going to farm onions anymore. It was a major change in our operation. They came in and sent in 2 advisors, including now the person, Greg Merck, who's the head of FarmNet. He was one of our advisors on how to make the changes and such. So it's an incredible program. But we found that, and it's when the filmmakers started interviewing us, interviewing me, I should say, my wife at first was reluctant. In the past, the same thing. She was always hesitant about laying it out there as far as our losses and our personal finances and such. But she recognized the value of that. And when Jeff came for the last series of like doing some B-roll interviews, he asked again, would your wife do it? And I kind of, please twisted her arm, please. And she, when you watch the movie, she makes it actually. She's the one that is really the emotional impact and the great storyteller. But we found that if you don't personalize things, it just doesn't carry the same impact. And so, so much was given to us in help in terms of FarmNet did and other entities. My attitude always is I want to help other people. That's always been a motivation for you. A lot of the activism that I've done, the grassroots public policy stuff, is to help other people. And when given the opportunity, honestly, it was a very tough thing to talk about. But that being said, I had to do something in order to, if I could help someone else, because farmer suicide, and there's people, I'm a small community, and there's been a number that have actually committed suicide here in my community. And again, and when you watch the film, I was in a bad place for a long period of time. So if I don't do something, if I can help someone and I don't, I would feel horrible and awful about it. And my motivation is to try and help people.
Whew. That's amazing. First of all, guys, can you imagine if other humans wanted to use their voice to help other people, to prevent them from having the sadness, from having the depression, from possibly wanting to take their own life? Guys, that's not a decision that anybody just makes because they're having a bad day. This is something that is more intense than that. Some people will blame people for even having those thoughts, let alone going through with it. So please don't minimize any thoughts or feelings you may have. Find your support people, whether it's going through counseling, whether it's calling one of the suicide hotlines like 988, whether it's finding other farm support groups, whether it's finding your local hometown support group, whether it's talking to people that maybe can understand, or they've showed you a door that they're always saying, hey, if you need something, let me know. Guys, most people don't say that unless they really mean it. And when men especially feel that they have the weight of the world on their shoulders, being a provider, possibly that history with the family, that can be really intense. And if you haven't been brought up with coping mechanisms that were healthy, talking with people, using mindfulness, going to counseling, going to your doctor, making sure your medical body is up to par, it makes so much more stress on your mental thoughts and your brain energy. And it just changes so much that, Chris, I wish we could have one of you in every community so people could get to know you and could say, wow, if Chris is willing to talk about this, and he's been 4th generation and he's talked to senators and he's gotten bills passed. Guys, your voice is just as important as Chris's voice. He started with not even using his voice, and now look at him. What did we say? You have like, was it 70,000 people following you on one of your social media platforms, and you're on just about everything. So I do have down at the bottom that his YouTube channel platform. Feel free to subscribe to that and, check that out. He also has, he has this kind of interesting name that I don't know how I missed this from you. But if you want to check out his website, want to tell us about that a little bit?
So one thing my wife and I did was we wanted to create a merch line. So we based it around onion jokes. So we designed a logo, and the shirts all say things like, when fried, add wine. If you smell me, you're too close. What else? Big bulbs don't cry. I mean, all onion related kind of yeah, kind of jokes and such like that. So it's on Teespring or Spring, and we have different kinds of shirts like that. And if you see a design that you like, but want in a different kind of you see it, but you want it in a sweatshirt, just contact us, and we're happy to put it on there. But fire and raw, mellow and baked, all kinds of different kind of onion jokes and stuff like that. So like we wanted to create a kind of a fun merch line, but that's one of the things we have done. And then, I'm also doing, trying to get going with speakers. I'm giving speaking presentations on either on the topic of the farmer suicide or on the topic of the policy, especially now today with what's going on in the government and such like that. Being able to, over the years, my wife and I have been able to make affect a lot of different public policy changes and things for our community, and never been, up to this point, never been paid, done it all as volunteer. So you can actually, I'm not a PAC. I don't, I've never donated to any politician. And to be honest, I've never had a politician ask me for donation or ask me to do a fundraiser or anything like that. And we've gotten major accomplishments based on, how we've structured our argument and the like. And I give presentations about that, how, people in your community, it doesn't have to be about farming. The principles can apply to virtually any kind of topic or issue or cause.
Oh, that's amazing. Guys, connect with Chris. We're almost ready to drop him down from the stage. It has went so quick, but I want to have him highlight 2 questions that were asked. But make sure you check the question or the comments later, Chris, because people are really thankful of your support and your resiliency. And I'm very happy for you too. So Jay wants to know, what movies impact your life?
Okay, so to answer that, when I was a grad student, when I was working on my PhD, and my PhD was going to be in either one of 2 things, either Saturday Night Live or more likely James Bond.
Ooh.
So I studied the James Bond film, the books too, but primarily the films. So if I'd got my PhD, and at Iowa, the guy who wrote most of the early screenplays, Richard Maybaum, was a University of Iowa graduate. He had donated all his papers there. But if I would say, and my favorite Bond film of all of them is obviously number 1 is From Russia with Love, and number 2 is On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which stars George Lazenby.
All right. So if you don't know Jay yet, he is a movie buff. So you may be hearing from him or seeing another comment pop up from him. And then Ave in our YouTube, he asked, who would be your biggest inspiration, Chris?
Wow.
Always ask the tough ones.
I would say, my biggest inspiration was my father. He came back from the Army. He worked with his dad for like a year or 2. His dad developed cancer and passed away, and he basically was left alone on the farm. He had, at the time, my brother and I were like toddlers. We were a couple. I was like I think a year and a half old when my grandfather died, and my dad was left all alone to operate the farm, and he did, and he was successful at it. So I would say that I really would say he was my inspiration to try and to emulate and to do like him. I should also mention, I don't know if you have it in there. My email is evep@warwick.net. EVE, my wife's first name, and the first initial of my last name, p@warwick.net. If anyone has any questions about anything or any of these issues and stuff like that, I always encourage people, feel free to email me. I am happy to talk, to answer your questions and the like. Help you out if you need anything, any kind of advice or whatever. I'm always happy to help. So please do not hesitate to do that. I love when people do that.
I appreciate that, Chris, because like I said, you're a pretty busy guy. I mean, he is in the trenches. He's not just sitting behind his desk all day. So thank you so much. Not just for taking your time today, but what you do for other farmers, what you're doing for other humans, it's huge. Real quick, dear Kenny Dunner, he would like to know where Orange County, New York is, like how far in relationship, because New York is way bigger than some people realize.
Yeah, I'm actually closer to Washington, D.C. than I am to Buffalo, New York. I am about 1 hour or so north of New York City on the New Jersey border. And I am near, you could see from my home, you could see actually a place called Mountain Creek or Vernon Valley Great Gorge. And there's if you want to see a funny documentary, look up, it's called Class Action Park. And it's about Action Park, which was a amusement park. It's now called Mountain Creek. But the guy who owned it previously was insane. He wasn't an engineer. He designed these insane rides that like maimed and hurt and killed some people. But it's a very funny documentary, Class Action Park, and you could actually see that place from my house. So I'm 5 minutes from the New Jersey border,
Oh my God.
and I encourage people to see it. It no longer exists like that anymore, but Class Action Park, it's fun. But I'm about 1 hour north of New York City. It takes about an hour either driving or by taking NJ Transit down.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And if you ever hear of a farm convention or some reason for you to come to Michigan, I would love to show you around and visit with you and your wife. Thanking you so much for the time you have spent with us tonight and all you do for people and so much behind the scenes. You're in the spotlight 1 minute and then you're doing stuff behind the scene. Chris, thank you so much for being a guest on Just Jax. I will send you some updates if you want to go into the LinkedIn page and actually put some of the other links that I wasn't able to get up. Feel free to do that. I appreciate you so much, and we will talk soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Jack.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Guys, pretty cool stuff, isn't it? Some of you may have already connected with Chris on LinkedIn. If you haven't, make sure that you're doing it. Follow his other social media platforms if that's easier for you. Find out a way that you can use your voice so that if you are having struggles financially, emotionally, things like that, that you know that you are not alone. So people like Chris help us remember that. And sometimes those of us that are in the field all the time, we kind of just assume everybody knows how to find support. Everybody knows where a good therapist is. Everybody knows, oh, this is what you do if you're having a sad day, or this is how you get help. But guys, we don't always know that. And if we don't know that, we may be putting on more and more stress on ourselves, more mental anguish. That mental anguish is going to impact our physical anguish, and life is going to get tougher in so many areas. So I wish you to be able to learn what works for you, because what might work for me might not have worked for Chris during his struggles. It might not work for your best friend. It might not work for your spouse. It has to be what works for you. And with that being said, we are going to highlight a kick-ass therapist that is able to help you in different capacities. Now, just being connected with her on LinkedIn is not going to be your therapist, guys, okay? She does a lot of really cool shows. She sends a lot of information, but don't use just reading a therapist post or even a live like this when we're talking about mental wellness. Don't use this as your therapy. I mean, if you get a smile or if you get some support out of it, that's amazing. But when you need your person, please feel comfortable picking up that phone, going on the website and scheduling an appointment, talking to your doctor for a referral, because who knows, if you're in the right place, the right time, you might get this beauty as your therapist. Look at her. Hello, Dr. Q. How are you?
Hi, Jackie. What an amazing introduction. Hey.
Well, I don't lie on my shows, that's for sure. So I would not say that if I didn't feel that way for you.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you
Dr.
so much for having me.
You know, you have such a vibrant personality. I was actually talking to Tara, who I highlighted earlier in the show. I was talking to her today about you being on the show, and I'm like, she could never be my therapist because we would be talking so fast about so many amazing things going on in other people's worlds. Like, how can we help these people and how can we make them happy? Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, but other people, man, they find you and they stick with you and they find your colleagues, and your business is thriving. And I am so thankful to Damien, who brought us together years ago, and we're together in the 2350 network. We've been together in different summits they've had. You are just a force to be reckoned with. And I love that by the stars aligning, you and Chris were on the same show to talk about not just mental wellness, but advocating for yourself and using that voice. So thank you for being here and all you do. I got to ask you those same 3 questions as Chris did, and then you get to talk all about you. And I'm sure there's going to be some questions. I see James sending you some love and everything. So I'm super excited that you got some friends already listening. So first thing, 2 things that you are proud of yourself for.
2 things. Whew. Should I move away from professional and go personal, or does it not matter?
This is your time to highlight you.
Okay, well, I think what I'll do is I'll stick with 1 personal and 1 professional, because, you know, those areas of our life are very intertwined together. So starting off with professional, which is almost always easier, right? For us to note when you have all these accolades and all these accomplishments,
Mhm.
most of the time you're spending a lot of time at work or at your job, right? Day-to-day work that we do. So I think that's the easy area for me. So I think professionally, I would say right now in my life, this is something that, I never really necessarily imagined. But being able to integrate my parents' legacy into my professional and clinical work. And what I mean by that is it's pretty simple. In my lives, for the people that are following me and watching me, I often talk about my experiences as a Muslim woman in America and how hard and difficult it was to be raised in a very strict religious household, right? Experiencing a lot of sexism, which actually pushed me away from my culture in general. Yet coming back and looping around to the systemic ways that our society works, unfortunately, I was actually able to reconnect with my religion and my culture. But there was a point in my life I did not think that I would be doing this clinical work with my own cultural background, let alone creating a space, Umid Center, which is very diverse, but it actually is a healing place, especially for Muslim families as well. So I think professionally, that has been my biggest achievement. Aside from the degrees, etc., that's what I'm most proud of.
Mhm.
Personally, whew, I think at this moment in my life, I think personally, my proudest thing is being able to set boundaries and say, I no longer want this type of life. I no longer want these type of relationships. And mind you, it's hard. It is so hard because you get hit with these messages, but they're family. They're
Mhm.
family. You have to do this way. You can't leave them. You can't disconnect from them. And I'm like, absolutely. Yet I can set my boundary around, if you want to be in my life, I need you to work on A, B, and C. I can set an emotional boundary around, I will no longer tolerate the disrespect, the abuse, the intergenerational trauma that we're passing by. So I've been doing that, um, trying to be as effective as possible. But I think, honoring myself as a human first and a therapist later, it definitely is a struggle for per se. Because we are socialized in certain ways. We're fighting an internal battle, but we're also fighting an external battle. And these internalized messages on what it means, what love means, what family means, what thick through thin mean, right? Like deconstructing them and developing or constructing a whole new meaning. It's very, very hard because you are not only fighting with yourself, you're fighting with a world who has normalized these kind of behaviors.
Ah,
So yeah.
that's intense. And again, you went back to family like Chris did in one of those goals. And the fact that you have had to come almost full circle in your experience because of your cultural, not only your upbringing, but the cultural attacks and frustration and misunderstanding that so many people have probably your entire educational career, whether it was college age, whether it was younger, and then that internal struggle. I love that you were willing to share that and to be able to help so many other people when you have had to deal with it yourself is even more interesting because some people want to run away, when they know that there is trauma in their family or they know that there's that kind of stuff that, I just don't even want to deal with anymore. And you're willing to do that in such a clinical, positive, therapeutic, oh gosh, what would be the word? Like, not just like to do it to do it, but to do it for the healing aspect, and to do it not just because some people have really bad thoughts about therapists. I mean, they're just like, we get ran over in the newspapers and the media, you know, a lot of times, or in different TV shows, there was always the bad therapist in different things if there was any talk about therapy. And to realize that you're doing it to heal people, it's a step. It may only be a little bit of healing because some people go deep, but it's a start. And once you realize that feeling, they grow, you grow, and maybe someday somebody's going to come on this show and say that one of the things they're most proudest of is finally calling and getting a therapy appointment. I am waiting for that first guest to say that, because I appreciate you, and the work you do is tough stuff. But of course, you got all those degrees, and we can see some of the stuff on your back wall and everything, but you're still working and learning yourself, my dear, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Jackie, I do have to say, you know, there are moments of where I have disconnected, or I've had to set some boundaries, physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, so that I can take care of myself mentally and emotionally to be able to show up for the work that I do. And there have been points where there has been cut off in my family, right? Especially after losing both of my parents with my siblings. And I have, again, the fact that my work in itself, day in and day out, helps me challenge how I move. There isn't a day where I'm sitting there and I'm like, snap. If I'm asking my client to do this, why am I not doing this? If I'm asking my client to have a courageous conversation, did I do that? Am I practicing that? So like, it does come full force. Like it challenges you to think about yourself. But you know what the greatest part is? When you have someone that comes in and that's stuck, and you're like, dude, why can't they move? You're able to reflect. You're like, you know how long it's been I've been ducking this courageous conversation. So like it helps you find empathy for the people that you're working with, because it shows you how hard it is to do that work. It shows you that, hey, if there's cutoff in a family or with people, there's a reason, because that person can't pour in like that anymore. So again, it's very rewarding work, but some of the most successful therapists are those that are doing the work in the trenches with themselves too.
I love that you shared that. So that next question is, what are you working on to grow yourself? Is that kind of where you're going, or do you want to talk about something else you're doing personally to grow more?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of intertwined. I think both of those questions, I believe, are similar, and I think they're relative to what I just really talked about as well. So I think what I'm really working on myself, I think it's the continued trauma work and the healing work. I've recognized that this is an ongoing journey. When you have experienced trauma, significant trauma in your life, one of the things that happens is that life doesn't stop, right? So let's say you experience some form of trauma or loss, right? I'll talk about my parents, right? So I lost my father in February of 2020, and then I lost my mother right a year after my father in March of 2021 from COVID. Okay. So both of those losses were tied into medical trauma. Okay. And so I experienced those. I'm healing, I'm grieving, I'm showing up, I'm using those losses and that trauma piece to make changes in life, but also be constructive. Okay. How do you constructively bring in transformation and change for yourself when you have experienced grief, loss, and trauma? That's my biggest question to people, because we can go towards a destructive route too. And we know what self-destruction looks like, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, I experienced that, and it's been 5 years now. And as I'm experiencing, I'm still continuing to experience relational trauma and other things. So one thing I recognize, and an area of growth for me, but almost anyone, is understanding that when you're living life, you're going to continue to experience hardships. And sad to say, you're going to experience traumas. But as you get older, you're able to manage and deal with your things in a different way, right?
Yes.
And in that, you have to continue to pour on into yourself. The pouring never stops. There's no such thing as, hey, I'm going to spend the next 6 months losing weight and eating healthy and that's it. No. You can get to that place where you're eating healthy, you're exercising, you're pouring into yourself, but you can't stop because life doesn't stop. So the area that I've been really focusing on is allowing myself to be human, to know that, hey, these are the things that are going to come day in and day out. And also, I am practicing gratitude in a way that sometimes the burdenness of being a healer comes with its own type of pressure, as if you can't mess up because you're the therapist. As in, you gotta have your emotions regulated all the time. Like, there's this shame that comes with it too. Like, man, I'm teaching other people to regulate emotions and think positive, yada 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 yada. And I just had a moment where I lost with my brother. So I'm working on showing up with gratitude. I am working on forgiving myself, allowing myself to be human, and to know that it's okay. It's okay as long as I'm practicing accountability, forgiveness, right? I'm being gentle and kind. So all the things that I bring to the table in my session. So one of the things that I'm working on then is being human.
I love that. And guys, how can you not want to take care of yourself after you hear her talking about taking care of herself? She's got the degrees, she's got the experience, she runs her own therapy clinic, and she knows the importance of taking care of you. I think so many of us, depending on what background we came from, depending on what kind of country, cultural norms we had, our religious norms, our family dynamics or lack of dynamics, make a difference on whether or not we were told that we were valued, that we deserve to take care of our emotions and not just take care of the man or take care of the elders or take care of other people, but to also take care of us. And you talked about pouring into yourself. And one of my last questions that I have, and I see there's a couple questions in the chat, is if you could travel anywhere, I know travel is big on your list, where would you pour into yourself by taking off to right now if there was no reason to not go anywhere?
You know, that's a very, very great question. And God, if you asked me that maybe a year ago or a few months ago, I would be like, oh my God, I want to go so many places. And I am. Okay. So between last year and this year, I traveled significantly. I've never traveled this much in the 40 years of the life that I've lived. I've been to Europe, Iceland, Paris, London. Okay. I went to Qatar. I just came back from Canada. I'm going to Pakistan, possibly Malta as well. However, out of all those destinations, my go-to right now would be Saudi Arabia. And the reason why, it's because I believe that trip is way overdue. And if people that are listening to us, if they are familiar with the religion of Islam, right, that is our home. That is Allah's home. Saudi Arabia is our home for Muslims. We just had a big pilgrimage called Hajj that happens before our religious holiday. So this is something that's overdue, and I do plan on making that pilgrimage sometime this year before the end of the year. So for me, this journey isn't just about traveling like I have been and seeing the world. Going to Allah's home for me is about that spiritual connection, that religious connection, that faith that I've been reconnecting with since my parents passed away. So that trip is going to be very significant.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
where I would go.
That is amazing. And I think so many people, they value vacations or travel in different ways. Some people will save up for one trip for 3 to 5 years to make it just the most amazing thing ever. And they miss out on other reasons to travel or other ways to travel that aren't so much. Sometimes we need to travel because there's a death in the family, or because we have to go to a conference, or because, somebody really wanted us to go with them. But sometimes we have to step back and say, what does travel mean to me? Does it mean just traveling through the internet and just researching places and learning things? Does it mean going on a spiritual journey? Does it mean going on to something that you've always wanted to do as a kid and now you have the means to do it? And I think it's amazing that you're kind of like wrapping it all into this beautiful package to, number one, find yourself just a little bit more, to honor your family, your legacy. You could tell when it was coming, and your religion, and you deserve to be able to honor that and not have people try to be like, oh no, but you got to work, or you got to do this, or you shouldn't go there. And I love that about you so much. I hope you get to go there. I know you will make it happen if you're able to and you want to still. So I can't wait to hear details. That is not some place that I've been to. I haven't been to that side of the world yet. Was hoping to get at least to Asia by the end of this year, but it's looking like at least next year. So you got to catch me up on the international stuff. Time is going by so fast. So fast. Let's hear, what did you want to share tonight? What is something that either we haven't talked about or that maybe you've seen as a question? I know Ave was wondering, like, what advice would you give your teenage self? He loves to ask that question. If you have something else you wanted to share, if you want to touch on that question, otherwise, let us know a little bit more about you before it's already done.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe I can share a fun fact that I think most people can pick up on, but may not. So one of the things that I don't know when I'm going to get to this is there's a big part of me that wants to go to cosmetology school. Okay. So I love hair, makeup, nails, shoes. I have over 200 pairs of shoes. Okay. So if you were to ask my team, what is my go-to, fashion, right? What am I most addicted with? It would be shoes. I love shoes. I can run in heels. Okay. I will wear open-toed shoes in the winter if I could. I am a shoe fanatic. There are times where I've ordered shoes that I already had in boxes. And I'm like, oh snaps, I got 2 pairs of these. Okay, well, clearly that's too many shoes. So yeah, I love fashion. I think it speaks to my personality. I mean, sometimes my friends tell me I'm overdressed for something, and I'm like, I'm only as overdressed as I think I am. Okay. So just a little fun fact.
So I knew you loved to do hair and makeup because I think we talked about, if I ever get to your office, we're scheduling time for you to do me, because you can see how my hair ends up looking. Yeah. Tara even had to help me at the concert this weekend because I'm like, I got to cover up the part or the sun is going to burn me too bad. But I didn't know about your shoes. And that's exciting because for me, that's not something I'm going to drop some cash on. But guess what? We have 2 pair of feet that last us the rest of our life if we're able-bodied to walk. If we don't take care of them, they let us know, don't they? Just like when we don't take care of this thing, they let us know, right? Yeah. You do so many amazing things. You deserve to splurge on your shoes. You deserve to go travel however you want to, because you can just see how it lights you up when you started talking about hair and shoes. And I mean, that's what fun is. And you talked a minute ago about how being a therapist kind of puts you in a different limelight. Like, people probably say you shouldn't screw up or you shouldn't say certain words or things because it might show that, something, but you are human first, always human first. And I used to have a co-shared office with a lady that was a massage therapist. And she used to talk about, she had to set a boundary on how many clients that she would schedule as a massage therapist, because her hands, she didn't want to give a different massage to the first 2 or 3 people of the day and have less strength in her hands later in the day. As a therapist, my dear, you have to take breaks for your brain. You have to just be not the Dr. Q, but you get to be the Mishpa. You get to be the beautiful woman that just wants to have fun and buy those shoes and play with her makeup and just escape from all that tough stuff that you hear every day. Being a therapist, you get so many rewards by seeing people light up and see people have that aha moment and make good decisions for themselves. But usually the stress and the tough stuff outweighs itself. So one of my parting words for you is that people need to look at Dr. Q and realize that you have to find your person, whether it's a therapist like her, whether it's a support group, a counselor like we talked about. Maybe you're at the point where it's not a mental wellness concern. Maybe it's more of a lack of energy, and maybe it's something you need to talk to a doctor or maybe a life coach or a business coach for. Work with what works for you, because we can't all get on her schedule, guys. She has to have some boundaries on how many people she can see every day or week, but you deserve to find who works for you. And I think we can all agree that we want to make sure that you take care of yourself so you can be around a very long time helping the world. What shows do you technically run? Is it kind of on a monthly basis? Is it pop up? I know sometimes you do things with Dr. Tanya. Are there any live shows coming up for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a Parenting in the Trenches that I'm doing with Dr. Tanya for the year. It is every Tuesday, last Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. EST. So it's streamed on different channels. But last 2 months, we actually did 2 per month because of Mental Health Awareness Month. So we did a parenting section on maternal and paternal health. So you actually got us 4 times in the past 2 months. Obviously, I have this month. Another I Choose Us is another once a month that I do with my colleague, Deanna Pelly, where we talk about relational trauma and we talk about how you can continue to honor yourself, but also your relationships as well. So we took the month off in June because I was hoping to travel, but that didn't happen. So we'll be back on next month, which is the second Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. And then there's another one in the making, which you guys will know about in a few weeks with another awesome colleague. I was also invited to be on a podcast by one of my colleagues, Preacher Moss. So I will be back on in July 16th with that. So I think the goal is for me to do at least one thing every week. So every week you're going to see me live somewhere. But we currently have 2 podcasts that are up and running already. And I kind of am filling in a few things here and there.
I love that so much. Guys, follow her. She has YouTube channel. I just took it off the ticker, but it was on there. Go back and watch the video, get it. But go to her Facebook or her LinkedIn page. It has all of her information for her business. Go follow her business. Umeed. It's healing relationships, guys. You need to learn this, not maybe for you. Maybe you have the best relationships in the world, family, partners, yourself, but maybe your next door neighbor needs the information, or maybe somebody else. So follow her channels. Thank you, my friend. You were amazing as always. I could have talked for like another 17 hours with you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Jackie. It's a pleasure.
We will see you soon. Thank you.
Take care.
Oops, I cut her off. That's not okay. Sorry, Dr. Q. Guys, oh, what a show. Thank you guys for sharing your lives with all of us. And for those that have been watching, those that have decided that it was important for you to be here to learn about them, thank you. Whether you're watching the replay, whether you're going to fall back and double check whoever you missed, it's important to learn about other humans because you never know what information they have could help you down the road, help one of your loved ones, a new colleague, or somebody else like that. A couple other things I just want to hit on really quick is we mentioned the Dr. Tanya and Damien a couple times in the 2350 Network. They have an upcoming work-life balance summit that is going to be in October, but guess what? They have discounted tickets through July 15th. So make sure that you get your tickets as soon as possible. Guys, if you're kind of struggling, any of the things we talked about earlier tonight or other things that are going on, whether you're putting too much time into work or to family and not taking enough time for you, you're going to hear so many amazing presenters, very interesting workshops that could possibly help you. And the fee is just like pocket change compared to what people charge for a lot of conferences or a lot of information. So definitely check into that. You can follow the 2350 Network. You can check out their Sunday evening show. It's usually 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then just go to the Creative Living website. It's down there at the bottom and see for more information. You may even see somebody you know as a presenter. So I would love to see you there as well. And then last but not least, the thing that I want to talk about most, other than go back and watch some of the other shows because there are great people that are there. If you missed the beginning of the show, we talked about my quick trip to Toronto in the brand new stadium, Gregory. It is not Rogers Center, it is Rogers Stadium. It is huge. It's amazing. It was the very first show ever yesterday of any type that was in there. It was wild. You get to see kind of me getting out of my comfort zone if you watch the beginning of the show, if you missed out earlier. Chris, thank you so much for being here. Dr. Q, thank you so much for being here. And tomorrow is July 1st. So many things happen on the first of the month, but tomorrow it's even more exciting because the publisher, Nicole Gagalindo, that just happened to be the publisher that I'm a co-author in from last year, A Message to My Family, which is a legacy book, is actually launching a new book tomorrow. It is amazing. There are so many great people and there's so many important stories that you're going to hear. And that is the book that is all about being more than their diagnosis. So look for the launch tomorrow. Follow Nick's page, follow her business page. And then she's doing an author call after the launch to be in the third of the legacy books. If you want to get your story out there, unfortunately, guys, life isn't always guaranteed on how many more days and breaths we have. Get your story out there. If you're not able to get on a video like this so your family doesn't know a little bit more about you, have it in a book that is going to live on way past all of us. I wish you all the best, guys. There are so many amazing humans that were here tonight, spending time with us and really understanding that when we work together to support each other, not only does it help other humans, it helps us. Again, if you're struggling with thoughts of any suicide, any mental health stress, please reach out to the support that you deserve. Counselors, your medical doctor, 988 suicide prevention numbers, or whatever numbers are in your country right now. You deserve the best. You deserve to feel healthy and well, both in your body and your brain. And I wish that for everybody. Next week is exciting news, guys. Nick that I was just talking about with her book, More Than Our Diagnoses. I know I screwed that up. We choose to be more than our diagnoses. Sorry about that, Nick. She and a couple of the co-authors are going to be guests next Monday. And it is going to be the first time I do one of my live shows from a different location. You're not going to see the bookcase behind me. I am going to be way off, away from my home, away from my town, away from my state, doing my show next Monday. So make sure to join us. Hopefully there won't be any techie issues. Hopefully the Wi-Fi works great, so I won't lose any of them, because Nick and her co-authors that she's bringing to stage deserve to be highlighted, and you being in the comments deserve to have your comments heard, seen, responded to as well. So thank you again for being here for Jess Jackson Guest. If you want to be a guest, guys, I've got lots of openings. Please consider joining us, because there are times that people think that, well, I'm not somebody like that, or I shouldn't be on stage, or I don't want to, or I'm nervous. You saw last week, we had people that aren't even on LinkedIn that were on. You can do this if it's something you want to. So I appreciate you all greatly. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, week, evening, whatever works for you. I am going to close the show now. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all being here.